is a super interesting person, Kaylin, who I ran into just a few months ago, and she will demonstrate a cool way of bringing poetry into your life. So with that, Yvonne, Lauren, and Kaylin, please come on. Hi, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Good to see you, man. You came with your poetry books. I love it. Hi. We have an epic dress code going on at this event, which is fantastic. Yvonne, perhaps, because I know you a little bit longer than I know the other two, I'm going to trouble you to walk me through why a pragmatic, numbers-oriented, fiscally super organized, achievement growth, multi-double-digit type of thing CEO reads and practices leadership with poetry.
Thanks for having me. And I must be pinching myself first, being here talking about AI and poetry. Born and raised in southern rural France, and talking here at the New York Times venue. So I'm pinching myself for that, and I'm pinching myself that you guys stay actually to listen and hear about what we have to say about poetry. And when Anurag was asking me about this event, I said, okay, let's go. The first thing I want to share is something that worked for me, is my own journey with poetry that became a powerful leadership tool for myself, and that actually helped me being a better leader. And it all started when I relocated with my family, my wife and my 3 boys here 7 years ago. And in this energy of understanding this country, I started reading books, biographies, histories, and poetry. And I started to say, let's memorize the poem. And I started with the Robert Frost two-road taken poem that everyone must have memorized at school. Who has memorized this poem in the room? We are a certain number. Step by step, I memorized like a garden of 50 poems that became selectively chosen, that became like an anchor for me. And what I found interesting is that it had an impact in my personal and my professional lives as well. What I can tell with my words is that it helps me reset every day, every hour, every morning, when I want, about the topic I want, because I pick a poem and I just recite it to myself. I became very interested in this power, and I started to say, man, there must be something to do about it in the workplace, in the business. And we talked about personal business and trust, and I'm the CEO of a company that is in France, and that is as well a family-owned business, and that is run on 2 legs, the financial legs and the impact legs, and where the values are care, dare, and commit, and care is super important, and it's highly related to trust. So 2 books that for those who are taking away that they want to take upon poetry one day. The first one is Can Poetry Matter?
Can Poetry Matter?
Can Poetry Matter? From a poet that is Californian that lives today. His name is Dana Gioia. Interestingly, he was the sales and marketing VP, I think, at Johnson & Johnson before he turned the poet at 40 years old. A lot about what can poetry bring to your life and to your business. And then Claire Morgan from a big consulting firm.
What poetry brings to business?
Put some science, and the book is called What Poetry Brings to Business. And here there's a lot to say. So I decided I need a poetic coach. And I found Lauren. So I work on myself with Lauren as a poetic coach, and she's going to maybe explain. And then I'll tell you what maybe it brings to now not only me but my executive team who are just starting the work.
This is so wild on like tying it back to the previous conversation for a second. So Group Bell is a company I've gotten to know and care for deeply. What is the saying that Antoine says about?
Our owner is the 5th generation of a 150 years business. The brands are the Laughing Cow, the Go-Go Squeeze, Boursin, and Baby Bell. And my boss's boss, the owner of the company, says very often, my company doesn't belong to me. I borrowed it from future generations.
Pretty wild.
So it tells a lot about what care is taken very seriously, and it's then a field of research and experimentation.
Well, thank you for that. I've forgotten the exact phrasing, but that is beautiful. It just aligns with what Andy said about Mars a few minutes ago. But Lauren, that was a great tee up. You and I have just had one maybe 17-minute Google Meet chat, and here we are, and you're building this really cool career out of AI and poetry and mindfulness and increasing emotional intelligence. What are you working with Yvonne on? I keep seeing these really cool LinkedIn posts, and I'm intensely jealous.
I'm glad that you're teased by my LinkedIn posts. So I am a poet by passion, now by career, but I did spend 7 years at Google developing AI. And relative to what Yvonne was saying, I think one statistic that I always keep in mind and that's really telling is from this report that McKinsey put out in June. And they said that the demand for social and emotional skills within companies was going to increase by 14% in the next 5 years as a result of this new AI wave. And I think I know, and I think Yvonne believes this too, that poetry is the shortest bridge between our analytical, logical mind and our emotional and creative mind. And that's because it uses language, which is very much this logical construct, but to go beyond language. I'm actually paraphrasing Clara Morgan in her book. It uses language, right, to elicit, to evoke emotion, imagination, intuition. And not only is poetry, I think, a really crucial bridge, but it's also way more accessible than we think it is. That's something that's also really near and dear to Yvonne and myself, and the poetry camera that you're going to tell us about as well. And I've seen this firsthand because while I was at Google, I launched a poetry program. So we would host monthly workshops with dozens and dozens of participants. And there are two things from that time that I carry with me. The first was that the people who showed up came from all different job types, right? Engineers, data analysts, marketers, content strategists, and they all came with this twinkle in their eye and this excitement of like, I'm allowed to be creative here? So I don't think we realize the treasure trove that's already in our workforces, that's just there to be ignited by poetic language, for instance.
Right.
But then there's this second thing that I noticed is that a lot of people came, again, searching for poetry because they were trying to grapple with uncertainty. Uncertainty of their success in a project, uncertainty of their job after a reorg, the uncertainty of working in a wild world of AI upheavals. And poetry teaches us to get comfortable with the discomfort of uncertainty and ambiguity, because poems ask us more questions than they offer answers, which is why poems can be frustrating. People are like, but what does it mean? Why can't it just tell me, like what's the moral of this story? A poem's not going to do that. Right? It's gonna put you in the driver's seat as a reader. It's going to ask you to make meaning out of the words on the page.
Right.
And I think that in an age where one of the promises of AI is to give us all the answers, while shedding doubt on the factuality and the accuracy of those answers, developing our ability to be in the unknown and the uncertainty and the ability to make meaning ourselves is probably one of the most powerful human skills that we can develop. So that is part of the work that we're doing, is borrowing or inviting the power of poetry back into public spaces where it lived for centuries, honestly. So back into public spaces like the workplace, and using it to develop our self-awareness, abilities to collaborate, and abilities to make meaning for ourselves and find direction within work.
How has your management team adopted it, not adopted it, enjoyed it? What's been the feedback?
It's been super interesting because it's been magical. So it starts with one CFO yelling that, what about poetry in the business, for example, and ending creating a poem. And I think that the way we receive poetry is more the way we receive a song with the back of the brain. not with the front of the brain.
Right.
So it builds trust in a way that you have no idea. So if you ask your management team or your team about just come to the next meeting, pick a poem of your choice, and we're going to read poetry aloud. And there's a podcast, Poetry Aloud, that says we all need more poetry in our lives. And here we go. We start actually sharing our poems out loud. And all the shields and all the clothes that we use, all the masks that we used to wear in the workplace are like just melting in 10 seconds. And there's an element of trust that is very human in the sense of animal trust that is beyond the words as well. So great experience. We ended up with a memento poem with my leadership team recently. And you have no idea how we have fun, and it's very light work, and it's very fun to do in
That's
practice.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Speaking of melting masks, Kaylin, welcome.
Hi. Thank
Welcome.
you for having me.
We're going to do a party trick.
All right.
We're going to take a photo.
All right, let's do it.
What shall we do?
I
Maybe
think we
maybe that elegant pair over there.
Yes.
Shall we
Yes.
pose?
No, you could just sit. All right.
Excellent.
Let's see what we've got. A bald, gleaming head in a sharp suit, punctuated with color and a ponytail. It's just us and a room full of whispers.
Shall we take? That was brilliant. I've seen a few that came out in the green room, and they're fantastic. We'll maybe let's do the crowd one, and let's see how everyone smile,
Wave.
wave.
Oh, wow.
All right. Oh,
Or just me?
it's shy.
It's shy. That happens sometimes. What's fascinating about this project is that it truly becomes multimodal. You have one kind of input, which is image, and a different kind of output, which is this beautiful poem that happens. What made you build this?
Yeah, so this project, my collaborator Ryan and I started it in January 2023, shortly after ChatGPT came out. And for me, that was a big aha moment where I saw that a computer could behave completely differently from how I'd expected it to before. A computer could talk back to me now. And if we took this technology and applied it to other familiar devices as well, how could we reinvent familiar objects like cameras, like clocks, like guitars, right? And so I was really excited by the possibility of subverting your expectations of what a camera could be. And what if a camera didn't print photos? What if a camera could make something else instead, like a poem of the experience?
That's wild. And maybe a little science behind how it works?
Yeah, so we've got in here a little computer, a Raspberry Pi, in this prototype at the very least. When we take the photo, we send the photos to our servers, and we ask the AI to turn the picture that we sent it into some long description of what is happening in the image. And then we turn that description into a poem formatted to however we'd like. We send it back to the camera, and it prints out.
Fantastic. I'm going to try a photo.
Oh,
Yes.
It was a little shy.
It was a little shy?
I
Never
think
mind.
everyone try it at lunch.
Everyone. All right, so Kaylin and her colleague will be at lunch after Massimo's talk. Please get a photo taken. The outputs are fantastic.
Yeah.
You will love them. Can they actually pick a format? Can they say haiku instead of like? Can we do that?
Yeah, so
Okay.
the other unit that I have does have that.
A little
This
driver.
particular one, I took it out of commission, but yeah.
And when can we buy these?
Oh man, we're working on it. Targeting next year. Right now, one of these units takes 3 days for us to make at home, to 3D print the parts, to hand assemble it, and now we're working on a manufacturable redesign of it so that we can make it more available to people and have people share this experience beyond what, events that we can go to ourselves.
Fantastic. I've seen this before, and I'm still blown away by it. This is fantastic. Thank you for that. I'm going to come back to Yvonne for a second. When I was first introduced to you by your very capable colleague, Heidi, if she's watching online, hi, Heidi, she said something to me like, Yvonne's a GPT fanatic. So I'm trying to align all of these things. So what advice would you give, and there's some senior leaders here in the audience, what advice would you give to wannabe CEOs around merging and blending, jumping into GPT or Gen AI as you have, running a strong P&L business, and then this cool love for poetry on the side or in the front?
I want to be very humble on ChatGPT. I'm the average guy. I'm just trying. I'm just keeping trying and encourage all my folks in the company to try to keep up and to keep learning. What works really well, and I'm very optimistic about AI, so I want to share as well with my teams progress that we can see in learnings, in education, in healthcare. And I see that it can be your personal teacher on so many things. I see actually, it helps me actually being more and more knowledgeable in the area I love, poetry as well. It helps you actually trigger new ideas that then you would take over and do your own stuff. Right. And there's a way for us to be smarter and to keep our fears that we have all about the unknowns and so on, but at the same time, keep learning, keep being human. And when you're with ChatGPT, sometimes I'm angry against ChatGPT sometimes. So I say, no, there's a problem. So what's important, it's not only the learning, and we do a lot of stuff at Bell on the Bell GPT that is internalized and so on. But at the end of the day, because of the unknown of the wars and ChatGPT and all what we see in the newspapers, I feel that what I want to promote more than ChatGPT is the ability we have to pause, the ability we have to be aware that our own human beings that are transported to the workplace still have their elderly care problems or their kids' problems, or they are grieving, or they are elated by a new relationship. And all that makes us human, and that's transported in the workplace. If the people are making the decision to be themselves because they feel safe of being themselves, then you unlock a great potential in areas not only like innovation and creativity, but as well in mental health and development, personal development.
Thank you, Lauren. You've been the human behind the AI, and now the human in front of the AI, and merging these two. Quick answer on what changes are you expecting his team or other teams that you work with to make in their human OS or human operating system?
I think what excites me the most in conversational AI, and that was the specific area of AI that I worked in, was using it as a tool to develop our own communication abilities. And I think you're touching upon that in ways where it's not just using the AI to do things that you're used to doing. And I got to work on a really cool project where we built an educational program for US veterans to support their mental health. And they went through pretty traditional but brilliant modules, right? Things like how to listen actively, how to ask open questions, how to talk about mental health. And at the end of each module, they got to practice those skills with a GPT that played the role of a veteran in need of support.
Interesting.
And that's the type of use of conversational AI that I find really powerful and that I encourage typically in companies.
Awesome. I will take questions now. I'm sitting here, so I can be timekeeper casually, but let's get a couple of questions. I see that a couple of questions are coming in online too, but if there's questions for Yvonne, Lauren, or Kaylin, or we can have Kaylin do more demos outside shortly.
There's one.
Cool, I'll ask one question.
There's a question.
Oh, there's a question.
Hand over there in the middle.
There's two, okay, all right. We'll be quick, folks.
Hi, Kaylin. Big fan of your work. When I came across this, I really found a new dimension of the memories you can create. A quick question: why is it just a camera yet? Why is it not a mobile app where you can carry it in your pocket and create those memories in real time?
I love this question. So the question was why can't it just be an app? And in going back to the origins of this project, I personally was very interested in figuring out how to use AI in a way that could bring people together and make them smile, instead of what I was seeing a lot of, which was AI being used to replace people and divide us from each other. And to that end, when my friend Ryan and I were thinking about how do we turn a picture into a poem and kind of think about the way that we can subvert your expectations around photography, I also really wanted to make it an experience that you could just bring to an event, to a party with friends, and have it be a toy that you use as an icebreaker. And so the experiences that we've been able to create with a physical camera, which is like using it as an icebreaker at events, using it to capture memories in a slightly different way at a party, those wouldn't really be possible with an app that you look at on your smartphone. It's just a different vibe when everyone's just looking at their phones. With a physical camera, you can have a printout that you can gift to someone as an expression of care, even without necessarily needing to say the words, I care about you or I love you yourself.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Excellent. We're going to say thank you. Yvonne, I am in your debt for many things. I think this session would not have been a session at our event without you suddenly gifting me this book at one of our random breakfasts. You said, wait, and you just reached into your backpack and you gave me a book about American Indian poetry, if you remember. And you've gifted me books since then, so I appreciate that. And thank you for assembling this wonderful group together. And I want to come to one of those management things that Lauren runs.
Let's do it.
But thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.